The cold, desolate world of Vorethians 7 was dying. Long before the colony had been established, it had once been a lush planet, teeming with life. But now, with the sun growing unstable and the planet's atmosphere gradually decaying, the once thriving ecosystem had crumbled. A few brave souls remained, scattered across the barren landscapes, trying to scrape together a life in the remnants of the crumbling colony. For most, survival had become a battle against time itself, as the dwindling resources were fought over relentlessly. Victor Drexler was one such survivor. A former soldier, now reduced to a scavenger, he had long given up on the idea of rescue. His life had taken a turn from glory to despair when the war had ended, leaving him stranded on this forsaken world. The colony's inhabitants had long since vanished, fleeing to distant stars, leaving behind only a handful of people who refused to give up. Drexler was one of those people, surviving on a small outpost in the central ruins of the city. He had been scavenging for days, looking for any supplies that could keep him alive just a little longer. The situation was dire. Air was becoming thinner, the biomass filters running out. His rations were dwindling, and the desolate landscape seemed to offer nothing but harsh winds and sandstorms. But Drexler had a purpose: to survive, to keep going, and to remember what it had been like when his world wasn't dying. One evening, while wandering the outskirts of the crumbled city, Drexler saw something that he had not expected: movement. At first, he thought it was a mirage, but when his eyes adjusted, he realized it was real. A figure, cloaked in tattered armor, limped through the dust, dragging a weapon behind them. His pulse quickened, his instincts on alert. He wasn't alone. The figure stumbled and collapsed to the ground, and Drexler rushed toward them, his mind racing with possibilities. Was this a fellow survivor, or perhaps something more sinister? The figure was alien, not human, with features unlike anything he had ever seen. Their skin was a deep shade of emerald green, and their eyes glowed faintly beneath their helmet, their body marked with intricate tattoos that seemed to shimmer in the dying light of the planet. This was no ordinary being. Drexler hesitated for a moment, unsure of whether he should approach. He didn't know what this alien was doing on Vorethians 7. Was it a scout from another race, or a wanderer like him? Whatever the answer, he knew he had to make a decision. Despite his fear, he knelt beside the fallen warrior. Their helmet was cracked, revealing a sharp, angular face and a set of gills that fluttered as the alien breathed shallowly. Drexler could see the warrior's chest rise and fall, struggling to inhale. The biomask on Drexler's own face hissed, signaling that his air supply was running low. The thought of his own dwindling oxygen supply flashed through his mind, but then he looked back at the alien warrior, struggling to survive. He made a snap decision. Reaching into his own gear, Drexler ripped off the biomask, feeling the cold, thin air rush into his lungs. His chest constricted as the atmosphere began to grow more and more suffocating. But he didn't hesitate. He pressed the biomask against the warrior's mouth, whispering, "Hold on. You're not dying here. Not today." The alien's eyes fluttered, recognizing the act of kindness, but it was clear that the warrior's strength was fading. Drexler could feel the coldness creeping into his own body as the seconds ticked by. The last of his air was slipping away with each breath he took. "You saved me," the alien warrior gasped, their voice strained but filled with gratitude. The words were soft, almost inaudible, but Drexler understood them. "Not much left," Drexler replied, his voice tight from the lack of oxygen. "But you're not going to die on my watch." The warrior's eyes glowed a little brighter. "Why?" they asked. "Why help me? You don't even know me." Drexler's vision was starting to blur, the edges of the world fading. His lungs burned, and his mind swirled with dizziness. But still, He held the mask tightly against the warrior's face, unwilling to let go. I guess I just believe in something, Drexler whispered, his voice a rasp. I don't know why, but I'm not letting you die. Maybe I still have some fight left in me. Or maybe I'm just tired of living in a world that's dead. The warrior's fingers twitched, and they gently placed their hand on his. Despite the suffocating air, there was a silent connection between the two of them. Drexler didn't understand it, but he felt it. He felt like something bigger than himself had taken over, something beyond the harsh, bleak reality of the dying planet. The warrior's eyes softened, glowing faintly. You have more strength than you think, the warrior said, their voice a soothing hum in the oppressive silence. Drexler's breaths grew more erratic, but his grip on the biomask never loosened. His thoughts began to drift, but before the world faded completely, he saw a strange glow, an energy field surrounding the alien warrior, emanating from within. The warrior's hands seemed to pulse with power, the glowing light in their eyes intensifying. Drexler's body felt lighter, as though the weight of the world had lifted for just a moment. And then, as if by some miracle, a wave of fresh air surged through Drexler's chest. He gasped, inhaling deeply as if the air itself had been renewed. He looked up in shock to see the alien warrior's eyes still glowing, and their breathing had become steadier. You saved me, Drexler whispered, bewildered. His strength returned, albeit fleetingly, and the warrior's energy seemed to have restored him, giving him a second wind. The warrior smiled, a strange but comforting expression. You gave your last breath to me, the alien warrior said softly. But my kind, we do not let those who sacrifice for us go unacknowledged. You will live, human. Your spirit is strong, and now you are part of something greater than yourself. Drexler blinked, trying to understand what was happening. Before he could process everything, the warriors stood slowly, their strength returning in full. They offered Drexler a hand. You have saved me, and now I will repay the debt, the warriors said, their voice resolute. The future of your kind will not be the same. We have much to offer, and much to share. Drexler hesitated, but then took the warrior's hand, his mind still foggy from the recent ordeal. He couldn't believe what had just transpired. A single act of compassion had changed the course of his life, and perhaps even the future of humanity. As the two of them stood together amidst the ruins of Vorethians 7, the warrior looked at him with a calm expression. You gave your last breath through that mask, and now it is my turn to give. With a swift movement, the alien warrior tapped their wrist, activating a device that surrounded them both in a shimmering energy field. The environment around them seemed to shift, the dying air suddenly replenished by a powerful pulse of energy. The warrior's technology had activated something beyond Drexler's understanding, and for the first time in what felt like forever, he felt alive again. You will be remembered, the warrior said as they began to walk away, their figures silhouetted against the glow of the planet's last vestiges of light. And your sacrifice will echo across the stars. As Drexler watched the warrior disappear into the distance, he realized something profound. The battle for survival wasn't just about fighting for breath or for life. It was about understanding the strength that came from helping others, from connecting with them on a level deeper than survival. And as the sun began to set on the dying planet, Drexler knew that his sacrifice had not been in vain. He had found meaning in the unlikeliest of places, in an alien warrior he didn't even know. Victor Drexler's life took on a new purpose as the alien warrior, now his ally, led him into a future filled with unknown possibilities. Vorethians 7 may have been dying, but Drexler had found something worth fighting for, something that transcended even the barren wasteland around them: hope. And that was something that, no matter what the universe threw at him, he would never abandon.